You're suffering right now. Maybe not physically, maybe it's subtle. A low-level anxiety, a sense that something's missing, the knowledge that you're going to die, the awareness that nothing you do will ultimately matter. You feel this because your brain is exquisitely designed to feel this. And here's the disturbing part. Most animals don't. A deer doesn't experience existential dread before it dies. A dog doesn't contemplate the futility of its existence at 3 a.m. Only humans have been given this special gift, or curse. In 2010, horror writer Thomas Ligotti published a book that asked a question so dark, so fundamentally pessimistic, that philosophers have been avoiding it for centuries. He asked, what if consciousness itself is not a gift at all? What if it's a weapon turned against us? What if we're living inside a conspiracy and we're the victims? This is The Abyss Watches Back. Let's descend.
Here's what separates humans from other animals. We don't just live, we narrativize. We tell stories about our lives. We create reasons to get out of bed in the morning. We pursue goals, build relationships, create things, fight for causes. And these aren't trivial things. They feel real. They feel important. They feel like they matter. The question Ligotti forces us to ask is, do they? Because we've built an elaborate architecture of meaning specifically designed to avoid looking at the problem underneath it all. We distract ourselves constantly with work, with entertainment, with relationships, with ideology. We're so busy running from something that we never stop to ask, what are we running from? That's where things get interesting, because the answer isn't comforting.
Think about that for a moment. We experience pain, anxiety, dread, and suffering. We're aware that we'll die. We can contemplate our own insignificance. We're cursed with the knowledge of our mortality and powerlessness. Animals without this consciousness, they just exist. But we're aware of the horror of existence. Ligotti's radical claim, this awareness isn't a gift, it's a punishment. Here's what separates humans from most other animals. You know you're going to die. Your dog doesn't lie awake at 3 a.m. wondering if its life has meaning. Your dog doesn't experience existential dread. The human mind is trapped in an impossible loop. We have just enough intelligence to recognize our own insignificance, but not enough to truly escape it. We are aware enough to suffer, but helpless enough to do nothing about it. We can imagine infinite futures, but we can only live one. We can conceive of perfection, but we live in a world of compromise and decay. Consider a woman waking from a car accident. Doctors tell her she's paralyzed from the waist down. In the moments before consciousness fully returns, she's just sleeping. No pain, no awareness of her condition, no dread. But then consciousness floods back in, and with it, the full weight of her new reality. That moment, where awareness creates suffering that didn't exist a moment before, that's the mechanism of the conspiracy. Consciousness makes suffering real. This is what Ligotti calls the trap. We're conscious beings trapped in what he calls a prison of flesh and nerve, sentenced to awareness of our own suffering.
So we construct meaning. We believe in love, creativity, legacy, progress. These beliefs get us through the day. They make life bearable. But there's a problem. And it's not that we're deluded about cosmic meaning. It's that we're fundamentally suffering creatures trying to convince ourselves that our suffering has a purpose. Consider a simple fact. A child is born with a terminal illness. There's no cosmic meaning in that. no lesson to be learned, no purpose served, just pain and loss and the awareness of loss. We tell ourselves that suffering ennobles us, that it teaches us compassion, that it's necessary for meaning, that there's a reason for everything. But these are comforting lies. The suffering is real, the meaning is invented. And because consciousness requires the capacity to suffer, we can't escape it. We can't choose not to feel dread. We can't opt out of awareness. We're trapped in the only form of existence we know anything about. Here's the cruelest part of the conspiracy. Consciousness gives us the ability to recognize that nothing matters, while simultaneously requiring us to pretend that everything does. We're forced to live as if our lives have meaning, even though our intelligence tells us they don't. We play along. We go to work. We pursue relationships. We create and consume and compete and strive. But all of it happens on the deck of the Titanic. Knowing that the ship is sinking, we're rearranging the deck chairs and calling it progress. This is what Ligotti means by conspiracy. It's not malevolent actors plotting against us. It's the structure of existence itself, calibrated to produce suffering in creatures aware enough to recognize it.
Thomas Ligotti wasn't always a philosopher. For decades, he wrote horror fiction, stories about consciousness gone wrong, about entities that shouldn't exist, about worlds that were fundamentally sick. Then, in 2010, he stopped writing fiction because he realized that the real horror was nonfiction. He published a book called Conspiracy Against the Human Race, and in it he made an argument so radical that most philosophers have preferred to ignore it entirely. Consciousness is broken, not metaphorically, actually broken. And the universe might have broken it on purpose. Ligotti doesn't offer comfortable solutions. He doesn't believe solutions exist. What he offers instead is intellectual honesty, the willingness to look directly at the problem without flinching, without offering false comfort, without pretending that meaning exists where none can be found. And that's actually more radical than offering an answer would be. Because once you've accepted that consciousness is broken, once you've stopped pretending that existence serves some cosmic purpose, you're finally free to ask the one question that matters. Given that none of this means anything, how do we live?
At this point, you might be thinking, okay, existence is suffering, but surely it's just bad luck, chance, the blindness of evolution. Ligotti asks, what if it's not? What if something built this? Something that understood exactly what it was doing when it created consciousness? Ancient religions had names for this. The Gnostics spoke of the demiurge, a false god, jealous and cruel, who imprisoned consciousness in matter as punishment, as torture. The Gnostics believed the material world was a prison and that consciousness was the jailer's tool. They believed we were enslaved not by accident, but by design. Ligotti doesn't claim this is literally true, but he argues that the possibility itself matters, because it explains something that evolutionary biology doesn't: why consciousness is so exquisitely designed to suffer. Maybe there are alien intelligences, entities so different from us that their motivations are incomprehensible. Maybe they created us out of curiosity, out of malice, out of cosmic indifference. Maybe they're still watching. Or maybe, and this is the most disturbing possibility, the universe itself is alive and it's sick, and we're the symptom of its illness. And the worst part, we can't prove any of this wrong. We're trapped inside the very thing we're trying to understand, like a character in a book trying to understand the mind of the author. We don't know who or what made this. We only know that consciousness, our consciousness, seems designed for suffering, not for flourishing. That's not accident, that's architecture.
So here we are. We've descended into the abyss. We've looked around. We've seen that meaning is constructed, that suffering is fundamental, that consciousness itself might be designed to torment us. Most people would say this is where we give up. Most people would be wrong. What Ligotti discovered, what anyone who takes pessimism seriously eventually discovers, is that meaninglessness and action aren't opposites. They're compatible. In fact, they might be the only honest way to live. The first thing to understand, Ligotti isn't arguing for suicide or nihilism. He's arguing for something more radical. He's arguing for honest pessimism. Acknowledge the truth. Stop pretending that everything happens for a reason. Stop believing that your suffering is ennobling or that your existence is cosmically important. Accept that you're a conscious being trapped in a potentially hostile universe, aware enough to suffer, powerless enough to do anything about it. And then, and this is crucial, live anyway. Not because life is meaningful, not because your struggles matter, not because the universe rewards virtue or punishes vice, but simply because the alternative is worse. Because even in a meaningless universe, the experience of connection, beauty, and love are real, even if they're ultimately futile. Consider a parent caring for a child with a degenerative disease. That parent knows with absolute certainty that their child will die, that the love they feel won't save them, that the comfort they provide is temporary at best, that their efforts will ultimately fail. So why do they do it? Not because they're deluded about cosmic meaning, not because they believe in a higher purpose, not because they think the universe rewards their sacrifice. They do it because consciousness demands it, because awareness of pain creates a moral imperative to reduce pain, regardless of whether that imperative serves any cosmic function. They defy the abyss not because they believe they can win. They defy it because they're conscious beings in a conscious world, and that matters even if nothing else does. This is the only honest response to cosmic horror. Defiance through persistence. You continue to love people even though they will die and you will be forgotten. You create art even though it will decay and disappear. You reduce suffering where you can even though suffering is structural. You do these things not because they'll be remembered or rewarded. You do them because you're aware of the alternative, and your awareness demands better.
It's the philosophy of someone staring into the abyss and refusing to blink. Some critics have called Ligotti's philosophy too dark, too cynical, too depressing to be taken seriously. But that's not a refutation of his argument. It's just a statement that his conclusions are unpleasant. Uncomfortable truths don't become false just because we dislike them. Others have argued that his pessimism is self-defeating. If nothing matters, why read a book about it? Why argue for pessimism? Why make a video about any of this? Ligotti's answer is that intellectual honesty matters, even in a universe that doesn't care about honesty. We owe ourselves the truth, even when the truth is horror. And there's something else. Once you accept that nothing is cosmically meaningful, something shifts. You stop demanding that life justify itself to you. You stop waiting for the universe to validate your choices. Instead, you begin to ask, what do I value? What matters to me? What do we value together? And suddenly, meaning becomes something you create, not something you discover. It's not written into the fabric of the universe. It's woven between human beings, moment by moment. Thomas Ligotti spent decades writing horror fiction. Then, he realized the real horror wasn't in stories. The real horror was looking directly at the truth, at consciousness, at suffering.
at the possibility that none of it serves any cosmic function, that we're not heroes in an epic story, we're conscious beings in an indifferent universe. And that's exactly what we have to work with. So what do we do about it? We persist, not because persistence is rewarded by the universe, but because we're conscious, and consciousness comes with obligations. We love people, even though we lose them. We create, even though our creations will decay. We reduce suffering, even though suffering is structural. We do these things not because they'll be remembered or rewarded. We do them because we're aware of the alternative, and our awareness demands better. The abyss isn't watching back. The abyss is simply there. We're the ones watching. We're the ones aware. We're the ones who matter, not to the universe, but to each other. And that, in a meaningless cosmos, is everything.
If this perspective, this honest, unflinching look at existence resonates with you, subscribe. There are more philosophical rabbit holes to explore. There are more abysses to look into, but you'll do it knowing what you're looking at. Because once you've descended into the abyss and chosen to persist, you see everything differently. Not with hope necessarily, but with clarity. The universe doesn't care about you. Your life doesn't matter cosmically. Your suffering serves no purpose. Your legacy will be forgotten. And somehow, that's liberating. Because it means you're free. Free from the tyranny of cosmic meaning. Free to create your own meaning, moment by moment, with the people you choose to be with. Thomas Ligotti gave us the dark diagnosis. Now it's up to us to decide what to do with it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to descend further into the abyss. We'll be waiting.